Hello my beautiful people, welcome to my channel Suma Clima TV. And this whole controversy keeps on happening with Miss Kimberly Chertoff, which is the head of the Secret Service. As we all know what happened on July 13, the assassination attempt to our former President Donald Trump. And finally she was in front of the judge, Mrs. Greene from Georgia, and finally they took her to this to the courthouse for her to testify. But I don't understand. First of all, this lady, as I already mentioned to you in a video before prior to this, that Kimberly Chertoff comes, her background is she was the head of security of Pepsi Cola and potato chips. As we all know, that had nothing to do. She had a good job, she made pretty good money, but from there, she went to be the head and director of the Secret Service. As I mentioned to you guys before, I don't understand, I don't get it, and I will never get how can they hire somebody that was the head of security of Pepsi Cola and potato chips to be the head and director of the Secret Service, which are the agents that protect our presidents, ex-presidents, senators, and all of the above. Something that she has found that she totally had a failure that day by not doing her job properly. I did a video exactly that night when I investigated and I knew her background, and I still can't believe. And finally, she was in front of the judge, Mrs. Greene in Georgia, and she swore to oath that she was gonna testify and say and answer every single question that Miss Greene was gonna ask her. And if you guys go and watch that wonderful video that is right there, it is just that Miss Kimberly Chertoff, the head of the Secret Service, tried to skip every single question that Mrs. Greene asked her. She goes and she asks her, do you think a man with a backpack cannot be an assassin? She goes, no. Do you think a man laying down on top of the roof in front of the former president is not an assassin? No. So this lady, she's just insane. She had an interview, as I mentioned to you guys, where she said that she likes to hire people for diversity. We are at a point of the stage that everything is diversity. Everything has to be the same. Everything has to be equality. I understand that, but there's difference. When you are the head of the Secret Service, you don't just hire people for diversity. You hire people for their professionalism. Mrs. Greene asked Kimberly Chertoff, the head of the Secret Service, about that at 5:10 on the afternoon on that day, on Saturday, people in the audience were telling the Secret Service people that there was a guy going up the ladder. And so they knew an hour prior that happened. And how come she didn't do anything to protect our former president that got shot in his ear, in one part of his head? And she was saying 100% that no, that she didn't believe that a person like that is not an assassin, cannot be an assassin. I don't get it. What is this lady has in her brain? First of all, hiring people for the Secret Service for diversity, like that lady that was helping to push and bring former President Trump into the SUV, that lady that went crazy, that she didn't know where to go with her gun. She didn't know to go to the right, to the left, or push President Trump into the SUV. She freaked out. It was a completely disaster, as we all know. And I have mentioned, I don't want nobody to lose their job. No, because we need to pay our bills. We need to support our homes. But this lady, Kimberly Chertoff, the head of the Secret Service, she has really let us down. Because as I mentioned to you guys before, I don't want nobody to get hurt. Our president or my neighbor, God forbid, one of my family members or anyone, for some stupidity from some knucklehead kid that is just out of his mind and decides to do something like that, especially if I have the protection. As we all know, our former president, like any other former president, have the Secret Service protecting them for the rest of their life. But this time around, as I mentioned to you guys also, when that happened to Ronald Reagan, it was amazing how the Secret Service jumped on the guy, and they did it like that, super quick. This time with President Donald Trump, even Joe Rogan mentioned that it looked so weird, that it looked like it was fake, like it looked like it was a facade, but it wasn't. It was reality. It was this little 20-year-old kid named Thomas Matthew Crooks, if I remember, that was the one that did it. And the Secret Service people knew about it because people in the crowd, in the crowd, literally were telling them, "Hey, there's a guy going up there," and they pay no attention to it. And once again, Mrs. Green from Georgia was asking Kimberly Cheatles about what happened that afternoon on July 13 to our former president that got shot in his ear. If he would have not turned his face, it would have hit him and it would have blown his face up. As I mentioned to you guys, I can't believe all of these TikTokers, this new woke generation, are screaming and yelling and cursing at the person, at this kid, Thomas Matthew Crooks, that passed away already, cursing him for the reason that he didn't shoot him right and kill him. I don't understand how can people be like that, so sick in the head. I don't understand how can a human being want something like that for anyone. It doesn't have to be the president or the former president of the United States. No, it doesn't. But I don't know how all of these knucklehead sick people, all of these, some type of generation, which I already mentioned to you guys what kind of generation that is, that wish bad to people and evil to people like nothing. It's like they don't think, like they don't have a heart. And that is something that I would never understand, but that's the world that we are living in. And I'm glad that finally Mrs. Cheatles, the head of the Secret Service, was in front of the judge, in front of Miss Green, and she didn't answer any of the questions. And I'm glad Mrs. Green, she did a great job asking her all of these questions and asking her that by today, hopefully she will send her letter of resignation. And that's exactly what she needs to do, resign, because she was a failure in protecting our former president, Donald Trump. It could have been Biden, God forbid. He wouldn't have made it. We all already know how he is after the presidential debate, and now he's got COVID. We don't even know where he is. Kamala Harris is going to run for the presidency because they have $26 million that they have raised for the Democrat Party that nobody can touch but Kamala Harris. So she will be confronting Donald Trump as our next president. Something that I think, and I mentioned to you guys before, I have made a video years ago about that, saying that that's exactly what that was going to happen, and it did. It's finally happening, all of it. And I mentioned that he was going to resign, and but I know maybe he will resign, maybe not, but now he just got COVID, so he's sick. Nobody knows where he is. He's not going to run for a second term, so now it's the green light for Kamala Harris to be running for the presidency, because there's not enough time for any governors to run for it, because, and also they cannot use those $26 million that they have raised, $260 million, sorry, that they have raised for President Biden. So this is insane. I really hope that Miss Kimberly Cheatles, the head of Secret Service, can really send a letter of resignation and resign from her job, because she did a really bad job. And I'm sorry, I don't want you to lose your job, but you did. You didn't do a good job. And somebody could have died, our former president, but it wasn't him. Our father died. A father of a couple of children, and somebody else got hurt in there. Why? Because Mrs. Cheatles didn't know what the heck she was doing. She was, I think, drinking Pepsi Cola and eating potato chips, and she had no idea what was going on. So yes, Mrs. Green, and to everyone out there, she needs to resign because she did a horrible, bad job by protecting our former president, Donald J. Trump. Anyway, you guys, please leave your comments down below. Love you. Don't forget to subscribe. Kisses.